What's up, Lead Gen Beasts? Matty Ice here, Leads for Locals. In this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create a Facebook lead form ad campaign. I like to do these updated videos every once in a while because there's been a lot of changes to the Ads Manager platform. So I want to make sure you guys know exactly how to create these campaigns. There's also been a lot of new features added as well, specifically to the lead forms themselves. They become even more powerful. We've been able, it allows us to generate a much higher quality lead than we were able to do, just 12 months ago, right? So it's still a really powerful way to generate leads. So I want to make sure you guys are able to get these things up and running as quickly as possible. With that said, I'm also going to link to some additional trainings I've done on my overall Facebook ads strategy. Basically the framework, the process I go through that's allowed me to generate thousands and thousands of leads across multiple different industries. We are absolutely crushing it with lead forms right now. They're still a great way to generate leads. I'll link to those videos as well where I'm breaking down the results of these most recent campaigns in life insurance, red light therapy, like all these different industries. Like it's working really well. So make sure you check those out as well, because this video is just a tutorial on how to set up a campaign. It's not campaign strategies, all right? So make sure you check those out. And then finally, also, if you're in an industry where you're focused on getting people on the phone at some point, maybe getting appointments booked, maybe you're an appointment setter, whatever, like you're doing phone sales, then make sure you check out also the Wave Power Dialer, guys. My clients have been crushing it with this thing. I've had clients literally double, sometimes triple the amount of leads that they've been able to get on the phone. And it's one thing to generate the lead; it's a whole other thing. A whole other ball game to actually get them on the phone. It's the number one complaint I've always had with lead generation is I can't get people on the phone. Well, the Wave Power Dialer solves that. All right, I give you guys a 14-day free trial. Usually it's 7, but it's 14 days if you go through my link and use my promo code. So make sure you get the extra 7 days, and I'll have some training on how that works as well, guys. It's made such a huge difference in my client's business. So make sure you check that out as well. All right, so let's get into it. In your ads manager, this part has stayed the same. We've got campaigns, ad sets, ads, all that stuff. I'm just going to walk through an actual campaign setup here. So we're going to click on create here. And one thing I do want to point out, guys, leads or sales is usually the only two campaign objectives you're ever going to use. I only ever use leads. That's just the type of campaigns that we run. But like I had a client the other day that I was talking to that just came on board, and he was wondering why previously, like, he had so many clicks, like he had a really good click-through rate, but he had literally zero conversions, 0 leads out of like 85 link clicks or something like that. And it's because he used the wrong campaign objective. These things are absolute trash. Unless you're actually going for awareness and you're like trying to get likes and, like engagement and stuff, maybe. But 9 times out of 10, we're using leads. All right, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, you're really throwing away your ad dollars. All right, we're going to click continue. And I'm going to do, I still usually do a manual leads campaign, because I just like to be in control of what's getting out there, all right, and how it gets set up. All right, so let's give the campaign a name. I'm just going to do test campaign 1, all right? It's a good idea to stay organized up front. I don't ever turn these on, A/B test. Like I do a little bit of testing on the ad level, like I'll test different ad creatives. We'll go through that later. Advantage campaign budget. This is just if you're using, like it tells you right here, distribute your budget across ad sets to get more results. That's not usually how I run campaigns, so I usually leave these things off. Make sure you do select a special ads category if you are in one. The most recent one is financial products and services. I have no idea why. This is a new update that I think is, like, in the last few months as I record this, that I think is just kind of stupid. Like some industries require you to discriminate. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to promote annuities to a 20-year-old. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Sometimes discrimination is a good thing when it comes to products and services, because not everybody's a good fit for products and services, but I digress. All right, but if you fall into one of these, don't try to trick the system. It's you will get your ad account shut down and stuff like that, so select the right ads category, okay? All right, let me move myself here. All right, we're going to click on next. And it's going to take us to the ad set. This is where we're going to set the ad budget. We're going to do targeting. We're going to select the conversion location, all that good stuff. All right, so I'm going to do test ad set 1. Now, usually for the name, the ad set name, I'll put the interest targeting. Like, layer 1, let's say I'm targeting business owners, like, all right, so it's going to be business. And then layer 2 might be loan, like if I'm doing a business loan campaign or something like that, right? So just whatever's going to help you stay organized. All right, we're going to scroll down. We're going to use instant forms. I've played around a little bit with instant forms and Messenger, but honestly, again, it depends on what you're trying to do. But if you're just trying to get people on the phone, instant forms is fine. All right, we'll keep it simple. All right, so make sure you choose your Facebook business page. If this is the first time you're using or setting up a Facebook lead form campaign, you will have to accept the terms. Just click the accept terms button, scroll down, accept, you're good to go. All right, maximum number of leads, we're going to go ahead and leave that. Also, one other thing I'm going to mention over here. Don't ever pay attention to this crap over here, guys. Like the, where is it? Well, actually, it's not giving me an estimated like number of leads that it's going to generate. Sometimes it does. Like it'll be like a crazy range, like 5 leads to 36 leads. Like it's just all over the place. I've had it sometimes tell me that my campaign is likely to not generate any leads at all, 0 leads based off of what I've selected, and then the campaign crushes it. So don't worry about those those warnings or whatever if you see it, or those estimates. It's pretty whack. We do want to pay attention to our estimated audience size, though. Okay, we'll go through that in a second when we start setting up these audiences and targeting. Okay, let's see. This is new. Let's see. Rule set. I'm going to have to play around with it. Increase your bid on certain audiences. No, we're not going to play with that. I see, because I'm not going to share anything with you guys that I'm not personally using in my campaigns right now. My campaigns are absolutely crushing it without using stuff like this. Okay, we don't need dynamic creative. Leave that off. We don't need a catalog unless you have one. Whatever. All right, here's your budget. Again, depending on your location, like, are you targeting multiple states? Are you doing a national campaign? Are you doing just your local city, right? That will determine how much ad budget you can get away with on the low end. I usually recommend $20 to $25 per day to start. And you don't have to run it every single day, but I've just found that any less than maybe $15 per day, you're just not giving Facebook enough to work with right off the bat to really start getting results a lot faster. So my minimum is usually $20 per day. If you can't do it, not a huge deal, but just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to set the start date. All right, I usually give myself a couple of days, especially if it's a newer ad account, a new campaign. You want to give it a couple of days to get approved. They might get rejected. You might need to make some adjustments. It's not the end of the world if you go past your start date, because you can always turn the campaign off and then turn it on whenever you're ready. What I always recommend, though, is starting the campaign very early in the morning. To give Facebook an entire day to get the campaign going, because what you'll notice is that when the campaign is launched and live, it takes a few hours for it to really start getting those impressions. All right, so keep that in mind. The start date doesn't really matter that much. It's the time. Always start early in the morning. All right, we don't need budget scheduling, audience controls, blah blah blah. All right, we don't really need any of that. You can use saved audiences and stuff. Maybe I'll do a separate video on like creating custom audiences, because there are some really cool custom audiences you can create with Facebook lead forms. So if you guys want that video, drop a comment down below and I will make that. All right, locations. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you're not doing a nationwide campaign, then you just type in the state that you're in or the city. All right, so we'll do that, and you'll notice over here the audience size has adjusted, so we do want to pay attention to this, because if we don't have a big enough audience size and it's too specific, then we're not going to be able to run the campaign for very long, right? So we do want to keep an eye on that. All right, let's see. Let's scroll down. Not messing with any of that. Advantage audience. We should see, yeah. So, this is the weird part about Facebook. Like, it doesn't always have this available. Sometimes it just has the interest targeting here. So let me switch to the original audience here, because this is what actually allows me to select different interests, right? Okay, and see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you could get 9.7% lower cost per result. I mean, maybe, but in my experience, I just do a lot better when I'm in control of the interest targeting. Like, I want to be specific with who my ads get put in front of. All right, so now we're going to scroll down. Now we see the option to add detailed targeting and age. Now again, for age demographics and gender, you can't change this if you're in a special ads category. So just keep that in mind. But if you're not, then you can change the age bracket. I usually will change this I'll change it like 25 to 65. But honestly, I mean that's why the special ads category. It's not the end of the. Sorry about that, guys. Having some camera issues. It's always something. Anyways, what I was saying is with the age, we don't. Even if you're in a special ads category, you don't have to worry. Don't be stressed out too much. Like if you have an ideal age demographic and you can't target it because of the special ads category, it's not the end of the world. We're still getting really good results with it because the Facebook algorithm is obviously very, very smart. So it gets an idea of who your target audience is pretty quickly. So don't stress if you can't change the age range. All right. So not the end of the world. Here's where the magic starts to happen. Detailed targeting. I'm going to turn this off. I've tested this. When I'm first starting out, though, I like to be more specific so that Facebook has a better idea of who I'm trying to target. And then maybe later on, once there's a good amount of data on the pixel or data set, whatever, then, and Facebook has an idea of who my target audience is, then maybe we can expand it. But usually I turn this off in the beginning, and then we're going to add a couple of layers here. So again, I was talking about like doing a campaign for business funding. All right, we'll use that as an example, right? So maybe I want to get in front of business owners. So I'm going to type business in here, and then let's see right here. If I click on this, it should bring relevance right here. So it should bring like this kind of replaced the suggestion. Like it used to be a suggestions box that you would click, but now you just click in the next field and it brings up more relevant interest. Maybe I do small and medium enterprises right here, and I'm just getting an idea of. I'm just putting in interests that are most likely to be that my target audience is most likely to be in. And again, make sure you go through my training down below on my Facebook ad strategy. I talk about targeting in that video. All right, next, maybe we want to do another layer of interest. All right, so we're going to narrow the audience because over here you can see my audience size is actually a pretty good audience size, 6.8 to 8 million. I like to have at least a million in the audience size, maybe 2. That's kind of my bare minimum. And then no more than like 30 million or so. It's not an exact number, but you don't want your audience size to be too small, so we have to be careful. All right, so but let me type in loan. All right, so maybe again I'm going after business owners that are interested in getting a business loan. So I'm going to start typing in interests that are relevant to that. So now I'm at 2.1 to 2.5. Maybe I want to bump that up a little bit more. So let's do credit cards. We'll do credit. And that's see, like that bumped up my audience pretty good there. 3.6 to 4.2 million in one state. That's pretty good, all right? So you're just going to type in your interest. That's the benefit of narrowing your audiences. I don't usually go more than 3 interest layers at this point. It's just not necessary. But another one that you might be interested in is if we go to browse demographics and financial, we can actually target based on household income. Now, you can't do this if you're in a special ads category, but if you're not, you can target specific household income. So that's pretty cool. All right, now we'll scroll down. You can save the audience if you want. Maybe you're going to use it in another campaign later on down the road. We are going to leave Advantage Plus placements on. We're not going to mess with that. And okay, here it is. This is what I was talking about earlier, the estimated daily results. Don't listen to this, like 9 to 32 leads. That's a pretty big range. Okay, it might be within that range, but it's just sometimes this says 0 leads, and that's just stupid. Anyways, let's click on next. Now we're going to create the actual ad itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a name here. All right, single image 1 as an example. All right, we don't need a partnership ad. All right, here's your Facebook page. All right, that's my Leads for Locals page. All right, we're going to turn off multi-advertiser ads. I usually do anyways. If this is applicable to your business, I mean, read what this is, but I don't use this, so I usually just turn it off. I'm doing primarily single image or video ads. I haven't done a carousel ad in a while. Maybe I'll do another video on that later, but carousel ads are a little bit not complicated, but there's more steps involved, right? We're going to keep it simple. We've been crushing it with our single image ads lately. All right. Destination. This is where you're going to create your instant form. All right, so let's click on create form here. Give it a name, test lead form 1. I always put a number at the end because sometimes, like once you create the lead form or the instant form, same thing, then you can't make any changes after you publish it, all right? You would have to duplicate the lead form, then make the changes, and then republish, resubmit basically the entire campaign for approval again. So not a huge deal. I don't know why they don't just let us edit it, but it is what it is. But that's why you want to stay organized with this. All right, now up here at the top right, we're going to click on settings. You do want to make sure that this is under form configuration, that this is set to open, because this means that your ad can be shared and anyone can submit the form. Only people versus restricted, only people who are delivered your ad directly can submit this form. Like, I mean, I want free leads if that's going to happen, right? Like sometimes people share your ad campaign, then their friends see it, and then their friends will submit the form. Those are free leads, free impressions. I'm pretty sure we don't pay for that. All right, so make sure you set this to open. All right, form type. I've been using higher intent and requiring leads to verify their phone number with a one-time passcode. This is one of my favorite new features that Facebook has come out with. This has been awesome, and I haven't even really seen a huge difference in the lead cost. The lead cost has gone up a little bit, and the lead conversion on the lead form has gone down. Normally, I would expect like 30 to 50% conversions on lead forms is typically what I've seen, sometimes a little bit higher. Now it's like 25 to 30%, 20 to 30% conversions. All right, so you are sacrificing a little bit on the lead conversion, but you're having people verify their phone number with a one-time passcode. That is insane. And the slight increase in lead cost is absolutely worth it in my opinion. All right, this has made such a huge difference here. And again, especially if you're going to be using that the Wave power dialer I mentioned earlier, like making sure that you have good phone numbers is very important. All right, so let's scroll down here. Flexible form delivery. This is fine. Optimized. I usually just leave that alone. All right, next. So let's click on next here. All right, we're going to go to the intro part. All right, let's scroll up. We definitely want to have a background image. You can use the image from your ad, but I like to take advantage of digital real estate as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to use an uploaded image and show you guys what I typically use. So let's click upload image, and this is actually an example right here. I'm completely revamping my Elite Broker program, guys. So Elite Broker 2 is going to be coming out very soon. If you're in the business loan or credit industry, then you're definitely going to want to get notified of that. Like, you definitely want to check that out. It's going to be freaking awesome. All right, but anyways, all right, you can crop it too if you want. I'm just going to click apply, and you see how much better this looks right here in this preview. New business lines of credit available for most business owners. Like, we're taking advantage of this real estate here. That's what we want to do. All right, and this was a simple image that I made in Canva. It was an Instagram size post, like image, whatever. It's like 1080 by 1080. I just did a gradient background and then put some text on it at the top. That's it. That's literally all I did. All right, and apparently you could change the color scheme too, but I'm not going to mess with that. All right, greeting. All right, let's scroll down. So headline. So usually with headlines, I will put, like you want to make sure everything is consistent, guys. From your ad to the lead form to the page that you send to people to afterwards. Like, you want to make sure that everything is aligned with whatever it is that you're offering. All right, so here I might put ready to, like if I'm offering a business line of credit, for example, ready to see how much credit your business could get, something like that, right? And then right here, one's not necessarily better than another. If you want to do a list, like a checklist is usually easier for people to read, or like with the paragraph, you don't want to put a ton of information here, but I might put something like complete the form below to find out exactly how much business credit your business might qualify for, something like that. I'm not going to type that right now in the interest of time, but this is, you can see over here in the preview, this is what it looks like so far. Now, these are all new. I actually have not played around with these just yet. Trust signals and stuff, like this is pretty cool. I'm going to put, let's do budget friendly, or in this case it might be licensed. Let's see, or locally owned. This is pretty cool. Free, the license, right? So you could see, and here's the thing. So I'm actually going to start using these when applicable, because here's why: this is something that it doesn't take up a lot of space on the form, and also it's not we're not interfering with the process really at all. We're putting a little bit of extra content on, but we're not making it more difficult for somebody to submit the form. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't want it to be too difficult to where like people don't want to submit it and they just get because they're aggravated and like with how much you're asking. This is pretty basic stuff right here. Like, this is just a little bit of extra content on here. So I actually really like this. Here's incentives. Motivate people to give you their info by offering a reward. So incentive name. Test. See, now again, just be careful with this because we don't want to add too much stuff, all right, to where people get overwhelmed, all right? So just keep that in mind, all right? Here's another section. See, this I probably wouldn't use because do they need to know how it works right off the bat? Maybe. I guess it depends on what you're offering, but most people, in this case, like most people are familiar with a line of credit, and then once you get them on the phone, you can walk them through the process of how it works. You see what I'm saying? All right, so you can add products. All right, I'm not going to add products there. Social proof, let's see where that shows up. Okay, so it's another card down here. So play around with these. I would at the bare minimum, I would add the trust signals. That can't hurt. All right, so but these are brand new. So like I said, they keep adding some pretty cool stuff to these lead forms. All right, so we're going to click next. All right, that's the greeting or intro part. Questions. All right, let's scroll up to the top. You can use conditional logic if you want, and I'm probably actually going to be starting to play around with this a little bit more in the future, especially with things like business lines of credit and loans and stuff like that, where we can use conditional logic based off of how they answer the question. You can disqualify them or move them forward. Right? You can even open up additional questions. Now, I actually did an entire video on using conditional logic, so I'll link that down below if you guys want to see how to use it. Right now, I'm going to show you guys what I've been doing in my campaigns recently. Okay, let's actually add a question. I do like to add at least one or two multiple choice questions here. I don't use any of the other question types, but why I do this is to start to weed out some of the tire kickers. We're starting to get a little bit of information from these leads because if they're not willing to answer some simple question, like multiple choice questions, do we really want them as a lead? Like, are they that serious? Probably not, right? So the more questions we ask and more information we get, typically the more serious the lead is, the higher quality, right? So type your question here. I could put something like, about how long have you been in business, right? And then I could put, I can give them some options right here, like less than 6 months. I could put 6 to 12 months. All right, we'll click the plus sign here, add another answer, maybe 1 to 3 years, right? So you get the idea. You don't want to add too many options. Like we don't want people getting overwhelmed. All right, and you also don't want to add too many questions. 3 is like the max. All right, don't do any more than 3, but 1 or 2 is fine. All right, so then you can add another one if you want. And then as you add more questions, I think, as you add more questions, like if I were to turn on conditional logic, I could click this again and then choose the next step, go to a question, submit the form, or close the form. Like if I didn't want to work with somebody or can't help anybody that's been in business less than 6 months, I could choose close form right here, all right? And now your lead cost is going to go up, but you're getting higher quality leads because you're weeding out the people that you can't help, all right? Now, we'll scroll down to contact information, all right? Description here. This I usually just put, confirm your contact info below to receive XYZ, being your whatever your lead magnet is for the ad campaign. All right, and I do like to, let's see, is it going to let me? Okay, well. Usually, I like to reorganize this, but it is not letting me for some reason. That's interesting. Usually, you can drag and drop these, but whatever. Let's add the state. I don't usually ask for the state. It's still not letting me. That's weird. All right, but anyways, email, phone number, full name. Those are those are usually the 3 things that I get in contact information. I don't usually get anything else because anything else that you need, you could probably get on the phone. So unless you absolutely need this other information right off the bat, name, email, and phone number. That's it. Okay, that is the questions part. Privacy policy is pretty straightforward. You're gonna put a link to your privacy policy here. Let's just do Google for now. Okay, and then you can leave the link text there. Not a big deal. If you have a custom disclaimer, you can use that or add it if you want. All right, click next. The review screen is just showing, usually it shows it over here, but there's nothing that you do here. It's just when you click higher intent in the form type or the intro, whatever, I think it's form type, then they're going to get a review screen to confirm their contact information. And you can see here I've got an error on the questions. That's because I have conditional logic. I'm going to turn that off for now because I didn't finish what happens with all the other answers. So that's what that was. All right, next, let's click on ending. This is basically the confirmation page. Now, for the headline, I usually always do the same thing. I'll put success, and then in all caps, I'll put important next step. Please read. And the reason I do this is because I want people to stay on this page and take the next step in my funnel, whatever it's going to be in your business, right? So, and then for the description, I'll usually say something like, I'll let them know that they'll receive their lead magnet in their email shortly. Check your spam folder just in case. And then in the next line, I'll put, in the meantime, click the button below to do XYZ. One of my things to do with this is to some of community that you've built. So in the red light therapy campaign that we're running right now, it is crushing it. It is awesome. All right. Make sure you check out that video, guys. Anyways, we're getting the lead. We're getting name, email, phone number. They're SMS verified, and we're sending them to their the client's Facebook group as well. So starting some type of community that's going to provide additional value to your audience is a great way to use the confirmation page in a lead form. You have to do that. I've also sent people to a questionnaire, or you could do an appointment calendar if you want, but you want to make sure you're taking advantage of this. All right. So what's the next step in your funnel that you want people to take? All right. That's what's going to determine this. All right. So in the meantime, I would say click the button down below to join our XYZ Facebook group, or to complete the questionnaire, or to find out how much business credit you qualify for. Man, I don't know what's going on with my camera. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I mean, that's the main part. All right. But yeah, good times. Anyways. Let's see. So yeah, in the meantime, click the button down below to join the Facebook group, find out how much business credit, etc. All right. So, I usually just keep this on go-to website. You put the link to the Facebook group, to the questionnaire, to your school community, to whatever it is, wherever you want to send people to. And then the call to action would be like, join the free Facebook group or something like that, or find out how much business credit you qualify for. Click here to complete the questionnaire, or click here to book your appointment. And I've tested this to connect with leads in Messenger. I didn't notice a big increase in lead cost, but and actually, I mean, people were engaging on Messenger. Basically, what this does is it opens up or starts a conversation in Messenger on the Facebook business page. It can actually, like if you're using something like GoHighLevel, for example, and you're sending your leads into the GoHighLevel system, you can actually have AI agents actually start to communicate with them. All right, so that's something to consider, but I would say for now, keep it simple. If you're just trying to get leads in to get them on the phone, we don't need to mess with Messenger right now. All right, and then from there, we're just going to click on Create Form. Whoops, let me go ahead and put a link here. And at this point, we are almost done. We need to add our, add creatives and add copy. Hopefully you already have that done. But let's say instant form. Yeah, here we go. You can also require work emails. I'm not messing with that. Phone number is the most important thing for us. Follow-up leads. Follow up with leads in Messenger. I'm pretty sure that's what. It starts in Messenger. You can turn that on if you want. I'm not really messing with that at the moment. All right, we don't need lead delivery unless you have a separate CRM. You should be able to connect this directly to GoHighLevel. All right, here's the add creative. All right, so I'm going to remove media here. We're going to set up add creative and do an image ad. All right. And let's use, I'm just going to use this as an example. All right, so we'll, up here at the top right, you just click upload, bring in the images and select it. You're going to click next. And then make sure that these are on original. Sometimes they default to these other options. You want these on original because otherwise they don't fit on the placement really well. I don't even know why they try to change it because it just doesn't look good. Okay. So I think we can leave this on. Yeah, certain placements we show. Yeah, this is fine as long as you have this on original, then you're good. All right, let's click next. All right, this is where you would put your ad copy, your headline. Again, go through the other trainings, guys, where, like I've done a training on how to use AI to write your ad copy. It's pretty simple. I give you my ad copy formula that I've been using for a long time. It works really good. So make sure you go through that. Headline, I always offer the lead magnet. So like in this example, I could put something like, find out how much business credit your business qualifies for, or, find out how to get a line of credit for your business, something like that. It's just, again, it's all about consistency, right? From the ad creative, ad copy, headline, lead form, everything needs to be centered around that one offer. Don't, like, a confused buyer doesn't do anything, right? We don't want to be confusing people. All right, so put your headline, description. I usually just do one statement here. Again, consistent with everything else. All right, go through the other training on all this. All right, call to action. I usually do learn more. Sometimes I'll do get quote. Just depends on what you're offering, but learn more, get quote, download, the fine. Sorry, guys, we're glitching out pretty good here today. Anyways, the call to action, yeah, learn more, download, get quote. It really just depends on what you're offering, but those are the primary ones that I use. All right, so we're going to click next. Now, this is really cool. I did a separate video on this. Facebook actually has its own AI features inside of the platform now. It's pretty cool. I haven't actually used it in any of my campaigns, but definitely worth playing around with, right? It basically takes your images and creates all different kinds of variations. Make sure that you go through it. All right, so if we visualize or like pull this up here. All right, because like sometimes AI is pretty impressive, but it still has a long way to go. Sometimes like the words and the spelling and all that stuff is kind of funky, so just make sure that you're paying attention to that. All right, and then if you did want to use some of these, you could click on these and accept images and continue. I'm not going to do that right now. So like I said, I don't really use this at the moment. But yeah, so we're just going to click skip it, continue. Still a pretty cool feature. Like I said, though, I did an entire video on the AI features inside of the Facebook ads platform. Make sure you check that out down below. All right, we're going to leave these alone. I don't ever turn these on. You're welcome to play with them, but I've just not found it necessary. All right, let's click done. And that's pretty much it for the first ad here. I do want to show you guys one other trick that's going to save you a lot of time when it comes to setting up your campaigns. But if we scroll down, that's it. I mean, we've got our instant forum. We have all of our our ad copy and stuff. You can add different, like if you want to split test different types of ad copy and different headlines, you can absolutely do that. I don't usually do that. I find that these things like split testing can be useful for sure. But I usually just split test. Not even split test. I just give Facebook a couple of different variations of my ad creative, which I'm going to show you how to do here in just a second. But it's really the offer and who you're putting that offer in front of that makes the biggest difference when it comes to success with your Facebook ad campaigns. I would say the ad creative itself too is those make the biggest difference. So, but you're welcome to split test this if you want. We can add a text option, add it here, and it'll split test it. All right, so it's totally up to you on that part. But that's the actual ad. All right, so that's the first ad anyways. And yeah, we scroll down, that's it. Let's go ahead and click on publish. And you do need to have a payment method on file. So I'm just going to use the one on my business manager here, set as default. All right, so you just add your payment information and then you're good to go there. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys how to do is how to create 3 different variations of this really, really quick. Now, I like to do this just to give Facebook a little bit of variety to work with. That's just where I've seen the best results is having 3 different ad creatives. Right now, I'm just using images. I used to use like static videos and carousel ads and stuff like that, and those can absolutely still work. But we're just having so much success with these single images that I'm using that I don't really, we don't need to complicate it. So, but to save yourself a lot of time and add those different variations quickly, we're just going to check the box here next to our ad. So remember, we have campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So we're going to have one campaign, but we're going to have 3 different ads in it, and Facebook is going to figure out which one is best. We're going to give it some variety to work with. All right, so we're going to check the box here. We're just going to click on duplicate, and then duplicate again. And all we're going to do is change the ad creative, the image. That's it. The lead form is going to be the same, ad copy, headlines, all that stuff stays the same. All right, we're just going to scroll down to right here. Okay, we're going to click Edit Media. And then I'll choose this one. Obviously, you would upload your other images here. All right, let's click Next. And then again, make sure these are on all on original. Let's click Next again. All right, ad copy, headline, all of this stays the same. Okay, we're not going to use any AI. Skip it and continue. We're going to leave this off, and we're done. That's literally it. Now, you might want to scroll up to the top and just rename it to stay organized. So this will be Siegel Image 2, and then we would publish that, and then maybe do it one more time, change the ad creative one more time, so we have 3 different images that we're split testing. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That from start to finish, that's how you set up a Facebook lead form ad campaign. You have to do this a few times to get used to it. But you set up a couple of practice test campaigns, you're gonna get this down pretty quick, right? It's just like anything else. You just have to do it and practice it multiple times, and then you get more comfortable with it, all right? So with that said, at this point, you would want to make sure that you connect this to your CRM, preferably HighLevel, especially if you're going to be using the Wave Power Dialer to contact the leads, because like I said, that makes such a huge difference. Like it's just incredible the results my clients are getting with that thing. But make sure you're sending your leads into your CRM so that they're getting your being plugged into your automations, your emails, text messages, basically your follow-up system, right? That is very, very important. All right, so because again, it's one thing to generate leads, it's another thing to convert them and get them on the phone and stuff like that. So make sure you're using the right tools for that. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. If you have any other questions, you get stuck on anything, drop a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys, and I will talk to you in the next one. To your success, Matty Ice is out.